So we've got breaking news. We got a change in Trump policy again on tariffs. We'll read the headlines and just will jump right in. Live news, U.S. stocks surge. Trump pauses, quote, reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. So I guess we're pausing now. We also have this, White House tariffs will be brought down to a universal 10%, and China's will go up to 125%. Okay. It was just yesterday we were talking about the tariffs on China were 104%. So now we're talking 125% on China, and then all the other countries will be 10%. Let's watch the announcement together here.
Latest statement regarding his America First trade plan. As you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125%.
All right, 125%. China called the last time and said, hey, we're going to put 84% tariffs on the USA. Now we'll see if they're going to end up matching this one. At this stage in the game, I feel like I just want them to start doing 100 a day and just get it over with. 200, 300, 400. But yeah, well, we haven't heard a statement from China yet on response to this new 125%, but I'll let you guys know when we hear. Let's see what more they say here at the White House.
Because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder.
Okay, so the way that they keep talking is that they want you to bow down to Trump, do whatever he says, and don't retaliate. They keep saying that. Okay, when we punch harder, but don't retaliate. I mean, it's just, if you listen to these people, it's like, it's crazy and arrogant at the same time. Again, we haven't heard a response from China. I'm pretty sure they can call, but we'll see what happens here. And then they're going to brag about how awesome Trump is, etc. Let's listen to some more.
In that same vein, we have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker.
Okay, so they said a couple things there. So before they were saying 50, 60, 70. Now we're talking 75 countries. Here's the key, though. They haven't made any deals yet. The countries are just calling, right? Like when someone calls you on a phone, they could be calling to say, hey, we're breaking up with you. They could be saying, hey, what can you do for us? Whatever. I mean, they're trying to rest on this case that Trump is so awesome with his 6 bankruptcies, right? And all of his felonies, that he's this great, business person. That's what they always try to say. But I'm just telling you guys, yes, maybe a bunch of countries are calling, but doesn't necessarily mean any deals are made. That's key to understand this. But they're going to paint this as a win, but there's nothing been won yet. Just be clear on this.
We have been overwhelmed with the amount of requests from countries around the world. I'll let the secretary speak to that. We will continue with the tailor-made negotiations that I spoke about yesterday.
And that doesn't really make sense either. Okay, one, it does make sense that they're overwhelmed. I completely would agree with that. If theoretically you have all these countries calling you, sure, your staff are like, what the heck is going on? And you got a Twitter-in-chief president that keeps changing his mind. But then they're saying we have these tailor-made negotiations, but that doesn't really make sense because remember, they just slapped a 10% tariff on everyone and then 125% tariff on China. Like 10% on everyone except China doesn't really sound tailor-made to me, but that's just how I read that. Let's see what else most of they have to say.
In the meantime, there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. The secretary here has been a huge part of the president's trade team, of course, and will continue to lead these negotiations moving forward to look out for the American worker, which is...
All right. So stocks are up big today. My first reaction, honestly, was just like there's some sort of insider trading, market manipulation going on here. It's just... These moves have been crazy. I think a lot of people are leveraged probably. And it's like this, I mean, seriously, this is a green today. It was like 19% move, Tesla up, Nvidia up 17%, etc. Because for all we know, guys, there could be another tweet and you're going to go back and another 20, 10% or whatever. It's nuts. This was the tweet out from the White House. They're using this crazy picture from Trump. That's his official portrait, actually, and it just says here, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world markets, I'm hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States to 125% effective immediately. Trump was then bragging about the markets being up, and I'm just kind of wondering, guys, about this insider trading stuff. It just feels like that to me. Listen, you'll see what I'm saying.
You got the market seeing your brilliance.
Yeah, that's up almost 7 points. 2,500 points. Nobody's ever heard of it.
It's going to be a record. Amazing. Yeah, yeah. You make an announcement the next thing. Yes, sir.
It's like the market's up, what was it? What do you say, 20 or 100 points or whatever? It's got to be a record. But it's like the last couple of days, the market's been down 1,000 points a day. So that's the kind of dude that we're dealing with here. It's insane. He just wants to set records, right? We'll have the biggest crash in history, the biggest recovery in history. We'll have the biggest, mind changes in history. Then he's gonna go on. They're gonna ask him, "Hey, what's going on? Wait, why'd you make your crazy decision?" Listen to what he has to say. It's pretty insane.
You started the morning saying be cool, and just
Be
a
cool.
few hours later, there was a pause put in on the tariffs. Can you walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions.
They're getting a little bit yippy, guys. A little bit afraid. A little bit yippy. I don't know. Are we talking about yourself? Is that what you and Trump? Because remember, Trump's the one who's like, raised tariffs in all these countries, and suddenly now we're lowering them. The only thing we're now doing right now is we're still in a trade war with China, and he's just talking about yippee. He's also probably referring to the markets. I promise you, Wall Street and the markets have a heavy effect on this guy, right? I'm sure they've gotten several phone calls from several people on Wall Street going, "Yo, what are you doing? Call off the tariff thing." He's just like, people are getting yippee.
Because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents. They wouldn't have.
All right, so I agree. No other president would do what Trump does. I completely agree with that. But this is what Trump does. This is his cycle of decision makings, right? He makes a stupid decision. Something really bad happens. Then he convinces his followers that the problem is magically solved, and then he reverses the decision. So you're going to see this time and time again. This never fails with Trump. The China one, though, is going to be interesting. Again, 125% tariffs on China. Will China call and raise theirs also on the USA? I think probably, but I'll let you know guys when you have an announcement. Let's hear a little bit what Basent has to say. Here he is right here.
Negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded.
Do not retaliate and you'll be rewarded. This language, I mean, to treat your trading partners like this is nuts. And honestly, the U.S. is unreliable. I mean, that's what I'm seeing here. You'll see it also from Karen Levitt, the way she talks. Have a listen.
If I could just add to what the secretary said, many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
So they're just basically saying we're all too stupid to see Trump's genius. That's the argument that they're making. I want to hear in the comments, what do you think? Do you feel stupid now watching Trump's magical genius on display? That's the argument they're making. That's what they're saying.
You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need this president in the Oval Office.
Okay. So what's going on here is they're spinning this, and I'll be truthful with you guys and stuff. Sure, the U.S. has a big consumer base, right? Much of our financial transactions of the world also is on dollar. Right, of course, the U.S. is important. So I wouldn't downplay the role of the USA in the world. But the idea that like this is some big win that we're on the phone with 75 countries at the same time, I just see chaos ahead. That's what I see. And then the idea that everyone's moving closer to USA and not to China, not necessarily. I mean, if you kind of watch the negotiations, various countries are moving around because they're not talking about this. You're seeing it, right? China's picking up the phone also, right? India's picking up the phone. I don't want to just say that, there's only one country in the world or two countries in the world. There's many countries in the world. I just told you guys yesterday, Vietnam and Spain are doing some sort of deal. Then Spain's like pretty active in this stuff. And, Italy's running around, UK, Canada, like there's a lot of countries in the world. Just the way these people talk is frankly arrogant. And also we have a very unstable president. He could change his mind again. And you just have to ask yourself, if you want to do business with someone, do you want to do business with someone who's tweeting out every day and changes their mind? right? Or do you want to do business with like basically the rest of the world, like fairly stable countries? Whereas I guess Trump tries to tell everyone he's a stable genius. So I dispute the idea that everyone loves USA all of a sudden. I would say, yes, I would agree. Maybe a bunch of countries are on the phone, but that doesn't necessarily mean any deals are made yet. Already you're seeing this. There's calls for the Fed to start printing again. Basically, Fed officials flag risk of more persistent inflation, but they're in a weird spot right now because Trump's so unstable. Because essentially what they got to do, they got to figure, okay, if we're worried about growth, if we're really, really worried about recession, yes, theoretically you could cut, but then you got this ever-ruling problem of inflation. And then we still don't know the end result of the U.S.-China trade war. So in my opinion, the Fed should either stand pat or theoretically raise, start cutting and stuff like that. I mean, I've already seen the bond market doesn't trust essentially the Trump. Are we going to go into more deficit spending? Do we really want to buy U.S. debt? So then I guess theoretically the Fed will come in and bail Trump out. But the printing again, I'm not, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, that's what Trump and Wall Street want. They want to get the money printer starting again. Trump is also concerned about low pressure showers. There's an executive order on that. So if you are worried about low pressure showers, you're in luck. Trump says here, no longer will shower heads be weak and worthless. This is actually real. I know it sounds like a joke, but no, it's real. And it says here, Trump has laminated for years, I guess, that low water pressure, ruins gorgeous hair and perfect hair. When I take a shower, I want water to pour down on me. When you go into these new homes with showers, the water drips slowly. And basically what it was is, I guess, was it like Obama and even Biden was doing this to where you don't necessarily want water pressure super high in shower heads because it's a waste of water, right? You're using too much water. But Trump's like, you know what? Let's use all the water that we possibly can, because what could be more American than that? Part of the negotiations are going to be, okay, remember Trump's promising you all of these jobs are going to come back to the USA in forms of factory. Bank of America just did their analysis. They're saying that the iPhone, if made in USA, would rise 90% in cost. It's actually quite interesting. They're claiming, this is Bank of America, because I've seen different, claims on this, and it's hard to estimate for sure on this kind of stuff. But from Bank of America, it says iPhone costs can increase 25% purely on high labor costs in the USA. And then they're saying even if we could build this stuff in the USA, it'd probably be assembly because a lot of the supply chain still comes from other parts of the world and we can't build it up so quickly. And again, I think Trump's moving based on the bond market, because people have been selling off. Based on the stock market, people have been selling off. The Republicans are also talking about more deficit spending. Basically, they want more tax cuts, but I don't know if we have any way to pay for this other than, again, trying to issue more debt. Let's take a look at this, what they have to say as Republicans.
Larry, we love the big, beautiful bill, and it's like a 1-2 punch. We want to make sure that we have fair, free trade's great, but we need fair trade as well. But also, the American people need tax cuts, and if we don't get this done, 90%
so they want
of
tax cuts for the wealthy, and then they want to, because they don't, when they talk about tax cuts, right? They're talking about tax cuts for the wealthy, but they're not really talking about, hey, we're raising your taxes on tariffs for everywhere, right? China's actually quite interesting. This was the headline here. China's central bank asked state lenders to reduce dollar purchases. So we're seeing a further decoupling from the US and China. You also got this. There's a lot coming out. Goldman is seeing a 65% chance in recession. So there's that. Some of the statements from China today. This was China will raise tariffs for all imported US goods from 34 to 84%. That was recently. And we also got this. China will continue to take resolute and strong measures to safeguard our legitimate rights and interests. And then they were kind of mocking Trump, saying, hey, the last time we did this tariff thing, we had a Great Depression. What's going to happen in 2025? So we still don't have a resolution on the China-U.S. trade war. And theoretically, the U.S. is negotiating with multiple other countries to see what we're going to do with the tariffs. Again, 10% flat tariffs on everyone else in the world, 125% tariffs on China, and the clown show continues. So please let me know your thoughts on this one, and I'll try to keep you updated best I can. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.